there is the order that the dives will be made. Petukova and Timoshina from Russia. James and Parato, Espinoza and Orozco. Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. The Malaysians, Munyi and Pandalela. Benfito and Filion from Canada. And the home favourites, Rulin and Huixia. There's the judges. 4 execution judges. The referee, 4 execution and 5 synchronization judges. So the execution judges, you saw the 5 synchronization judges there, and they come from all over the globe. And we're just about getting ready. Katerina Petukova and Yulia Timoshina. Their first dive is going to be relatively straightforward. It's a dive difficulty of 2. And we're just getting ready to get into the competition. The crowd's still coming in, due to start 10 o'clock local time. The girls are up and ready. This will be a reverse dive. The difficulty degree of 2. Petukova and Timoshina. They'll be judged on the approach to the dive, obviously the execution and the entry into the water. It's a nice straightforward start for Petukova and Timoshina. Reverse pike. Scored 48 points, that's rock solid. It's a very nice way to start the competition. Hitting the water just about together. Slight splash, they'll lose minor marks for the entry, but total of 48. Scores between 7.5 and 8.5 for execution, and the synchronization 8. So a good start for Petukova and Timoshina. Anna James and Jessica Parato. They'll be planning a back dive. Communication between the girls.
1, 2, 3, go.
A little bit of a splash and synchronization not perfect for Anna James and Jessica Parato. It's a total of 45 points. Waiting for the referee just to confirm. Slightly out of sync from the very start, the back dive with pike. Total of 45. Solid. And the excellent dives will get a 10. Very good rating from 8 to 9.5. This is Espinoza and Roscoe. Espinoza. Far side of the camera. This is a straightforward forward dive. Difficulty of 2. Clean as a whistle. Forward pike. 51.6 the score. Very Very early days, but the lead for the Mexicans of Espinosa and Roscoe. A 9 in there from one of the judges, which will be disregarded, but very, very handy score. Difficulty of degree throughout this round 1 of 5 dives will be 2. Same for Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. They'll be doing a reverse dive. Reverse dive with Pike. They need 51.6 to take the lead. They've got 48.6, which puts them into second place. 3 more pairings to go. Next up will be the Malaysian pairing of Pandalela Rinong and Leong Manyi. 48.6 for Barrow and Couch. Again, solid scores. 1.8.5 for synchronization. Pandalela nearest camera. Manyi furthest away. Always good just to get a solid first dive out of your system. Lovely entry from both girls. 51.6 is the lead and 50.4. Solid scores throughout. They will move into second place behind Espinosa and Orozco with this effort. Nice, clean entry. The Canadians, Megan Benfeito and Roselyne Filion. It's the first inward dive of the competition we're going to see. That's a lovely execution. And the entry into the water was clean as well. And the scoring represents that 50.4, joint second with Pandalela and Manyi. It's been a very solid first round. Only James and Parato have really caused the judges any concern, as the Chinese Rulin and Liu Huixia, home favourites and favourites for this competition. It's a back dive with Pike. Sound when the girls hit the water. 51.6 to be first, 8.6 average, and they've got 51.6 to go joint first after the first round of dives. So Chen and Liu will be alongside Espinosa and Orozco at the top of the leaderboard. Behind them, Benfaito and Filion from Canada, and Pandalela Rinong and Yong Mun-yi from Malaysia in joint third. A 9 for synchronization, 2 9s for synchronization. You take the top one away. And here is the scoreboard at the end of the first round. It's Chen and Liu, 51.6 level with Espinosa and Orozco. And similarly level, 1.2 points down, the Canadian and Malaysian pairings. Anna James and Jessica Parato already got a little bit of work to do. 6.6 points off the lead. In the second round, it's very often similar to the first, the degree of difficulty remaining around about 2. Difficulty can go up to 5. That's very rare. The highest we're going to see here is 3.2. Pechukova and Timoshanina. This is an inward dive with pike. Good clean entry. Synchronization could have been slightly better at the start. The approach and the points, 48, to give them an on-running total of 96. Again, it's solid rather than spectacular, but beautiful entry. The approach wasn't bad. The synchronization, I think, is where they've lost most of the points. And the entry was just about perfect as Anna James and Jessica Parato tried to get that first dive out of their system. For the Americans, it's a reverse dive with pike. There are the judging panels. Again, the entry, not perfect. Synchronization in this level of competition needs to be a little bit more coordinated. 43.8 points. And already a little bit behind the pace are the American girls, Anna James and Jessica Parato. There was a 6.5 in there for synchronization. You can understand that. It's now Espinosa and Orozco. It's a reverse dive with pike. Just need 45 to take the lead. They'll want to do considerably better than that. I think they have done. That's a very solid job from approach and execution, which looked pretty flawless. He's picked up 51 points for that. Very nice, just a little bit of downward curl on the toe as the entry caused a little bit of splash from Orozco, but solid job. currently ranked #1. The British girls, Barrow and Tonya Couch. 48.6 in the first round. This a back dive with Pike. Need a very good dive if they're to get up the rankings. Focus very much on this.
Ready?
Level of degree of difficulty is 2.
1, 2, 3, go.
That's nice. It gets applause. And they pick up 51.6. That's the joint best scored dive of the day. And you can see why. Synchronization very good. Entry just about perfect. They move up into second place, just 0.4 down on Espinosa and Orozco. They'll feel a lot better about that. Next up, the Malaysians, Pandalela and Manyi. This is a back dive with Pike. Off the 10-meter platform.
Go.
The entry was perfect. And the scoring is 51.6. That puts them currently second ranked with a total of 102 points. They'll be very pleased with that morning's work. It's the degree of difficulty goes up from the third dive onwards. So just get the first 2 out of the way and make sure you're in contention. Then Feito and Filion approach the platform. This will be a reverse dive with Pike. Scored 50.4 in the first round. Pretty similar in this second round as well. That was nicely executed from Megan Benefito and Rosalind Filion. They pick up 51 points indeed. Very solid, consistent diving from the Canadians. They move up into second place in the overall ranking, third place in the overall ranking. Solid across the board. But these are the girls to catch. Next up, Rulin and Huixia. Leading after the first round of dives. Oh, that's beautiful. Their timing was absolutely impeccable in synchronization. And a points total of 55.2. And they are clearly the class act in this field. This is the FINA NPC Diving World Series, event number 1. 6 events which take us around the globe, and a total of 106.8 for a top ranking. And that is an outstanding dive from Chen Riolin and Liu Huixia. They've set the mark as we expected them to, but not in such a comprehensive fashion on the first round. As the leaderboard shows, Maybe the Chinese girls a long way out in front. It's the underwater camera showing us the roof of the water cube. 106 points, a lead of 4.2 over Espinosa and Orozco. Malaysia's Pandalela and Munyi a further 0.6 down in third place. Anna James and Jessica Parato will be looking to move their way up that leaderboard. Watch out for the Chinese girls. They've got a terrific stable of divers, both male and female. The other divers looking on there, including Tom Daly from Great Britain, who will be diving in events later on today. Okay, into the third round. Difficulty goes up quite considerably here for Bertukova and Timoshenina. A forward 3.5 somersault with pike. Difficulty level up to 3 currently. These are in 6th place on 96 points. Nice clean entry. Points total of 60.3 to give them 156.3 overall. Three and a half somersault.
5, 6,
Just leaning forward as they're going into the water. The entry not clean. Bertukova and Timoshenina. Obviously the execution marks are down a little bit because of the entry at the end. James and Parato. Similar. 3.5 somersault with pike. The approach was off the mark. The entry wasn't great. The synchronization not the best. They pick up 54.9 points for that, for a total of 143.7 overall. Right from the very off, the synchronization not perfect. The pike is strong, but the entry just leaning back into the water, overshooting. Execution 5.5 in there. Espinosa and Orozco. Orozco nearest the camera. Lovely. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck. Nicely executed. 3.2 difficulty rate, and they picked up 66.24 points. Now the tuck's excellent, and they pull out of the tuck in perfect synchronization. And they can be very pleased with that third dive. Synchronization 7s, execution 7. To my naked eye, that looked just a little bit harsh. Barrow and Tina Couch, though, this also a difficulty ranking of 3.2. Inward 3.5 somersaults with tuck. plenty of applause. They picked up 67.2 for that. Perceived to be a better dive than the Espinosa-Orozco effort. Pandelela and Magny. This is a forward dive, 3.5 somersaults with pike. Magny slightly toppling over at entry, but otherwise nicely executed. The entry was confident. Synchronization looked solid. 66.6 points. 168.6 overall. Both of them currently second in the rankings behind Espinosa and Orozco. Again, we're seeing very solid performances this morning. Just outstanding from Chen and Liu, the Chinese girls. As we await for the Canadian pairing, Benfeito and Filion. It's also a forward 3.5 somersaults with pike. Applause. Picked up 101.4 points from their first two dives. They're going to add another 63.9 here. The entry was just about parallel. Synchronization, as you look there, not bad, just toppling over a little bit. Was Filion off as she entered the water. 165.3 for the total. They are 4th ranked at the moment. And here's the pairing who've really set the mark. It's a similar dive. The forward 3.5 somersaults with pike. That's how you do it. There's a consistency from Chen and Liu. But the rest of the world is really trying to chase 75.6. They are on a different level. From approach to synchronization to the entry. Millimeters between the point of entry. .182.4, and it's a huge lead they've already established, even after just 3 of the 5 dives. It'll take a catastrophe for them to not pick up the first points here. 13.56 lead over Espinosa and Orozco. Magny and Pandelela hanging in there ahead of the Britons, Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. For James and Parato, it's a case of respectability. They'll be looking to just improve on their first 3 dives. 4th round for Petukova and Timoshenina from Russia. The degree of difficulty goes up to 3.3. This is the most difficult dive that we will have seen. It's a backward 3.5 somersaults. That'll be their first dive in this, the 4th of 5 rounds that the girls perform. back 3.5 somersault with a tuck. Anxious look on the coaches. Just toppling over a little bit on the entry. Pick up 63.36 for that. Synchronization very good. Entry perhaps is where they lost some of their style points. There's a 5 in there for execution for Russia, which is disregarded as the 6.5. The Americans, James Parato, inward 3.5 somersault with tuck.
Yeah. Up. 1, 2, 3, go.
Synchronization was never on. It's a big, steep learning curve for James and Parato. Girls know before anyone that point total of 51.84 for a total of 195.54. Steep learning curve. One judge rated the execution at 4 out of 10. Espinosa and Orozco here in Beijing at the Water Cube in the FINA NVC Diving World Series. This their 4th dive of 5, currently in 2nd place in the overall standings. Back 3.5 somersault with tuck. On the sideline, the coach is not looking thrilled. And the judges back up their concerns. 60.39 for that. It was a backward 3.5 somersault with tuck. Right from the very start, you can see the girls just quite aren't in sync. They recover by the time they hit the water. Synchronization 6.5s. It's a solid dive. It's not seen as, it's a good dive. That's how they judge it, but not seen as very good or excellent. Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. A forward 3.5 somersault with pike. They need to average 7 from the judges to take first place. Nice. Good solid approach. Synchronization was very good. I think they can look forward to some healthy scoring here. 65.7, indeed they get it. That's the best performance of this 4th round. .233.1 overall, which gives them a top ranking, but the 3rd place girls from Malaysia, Yong Manye and Pandalela Rinong, they are next up. Inward 3.5 somersault with the tuck. It's the most difficult dive, 3.2.
Go.
Oh, they were never in synchronization there. They hit the water fairly well. The timing seemed a little bit awry for Pandelella and Meunier. 64.32. They recovered well. Dive scores 64.3 for a total of 232.92. That puts them just 0.18 behind Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. As Megan Benfito and Rosalind Filion come forward. Backward, 3.5 somersaults with tuck. Good applause. Coaching staff look happy. $69.3. Good reason to be happy. That will temporarily put them into first place, the Canadians. We've got a very good competition for silver medal in this tournament. The Britons, Barrow and Couch, the Malaysians, Pandelella and Meunier, and now the Canadians, Megan Benfieto and Rosalind Filion. All very close to each other, but the outstanding pairing. This is them on the platform as we speak. Roll in, Huixia. Difficulty 3.2. Impeccable. Just impeccable. 83.52. The tuck is tight as you like. A little spring, even from the very approach. These girls are in a different league. Straight as a die. China 265.92 overall. A long way clear in first. And Pandelella, a good battle, and Espinosa and Orozco also in that chase for second place. There are dollars available and obviously World Series points for first, second and third. This is a super series that goes on throughout the year. We're off to Dubai next. The season will end in Mexico. But it's the Chinese girls who, barring a catastrophe, will win this women's 10-meter synchro platform event, the first of 8 events at this FINA NBC Diving World Series, the first event of the season. So Petukova and Timoshina, a 3.2 rating of difficulty. Backward 2.5 somersault with 1.5 twists. As the difficulty rate goes up, so does the opportunity for error. Impressive work. Twists out early and into the pike finish. 65.28 on the scoreboard for an overall total of 284.94. One execution mark of 5 was taken off the scoring. I always like to look at the highest and the lowest just to see what the best and the worst thinking is. As James and Parato come in, 3.2 difficulty. Backward 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists.
Yeah. Up. 1, 2, 3, go.
That's probably their best dive of the tournament. They saved the best till last. $66.24 points for them. That's solid, that'll make them feel better. 261.78, they'll still end up in 7th place. But that's an improvement, best performance of the day for James and Parato. Coach offering encouragement. Now then, Espinosa and Roscoe, they need a good dive here. Backward, 2.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists. High level of difficulty, 3.2. That's nicely executed. Is it enough? They're in a battle for 2nd place. Are they able to be? 71.04. Takes them beyond the 300 points total. That certainly puts them in the ballpark for 2nd place. Other than the Chinese divers Chen and Liu, that's the best dive of the tournament. So now the pressure moves on to Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch, currently ranked 3rd. Back 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twist, similar. Raucous applause. Synchronization looked good. 70.08. They've laid down a mark. It's not perceived to be as good as the Espinosa-Orozco effort, but takes them to 303.18 points. Keeps them ahead of the Mexican girls. It's the Malaysians, Pandalela and Munyi up next. Same dive. All 7 pairings opting for the same dive in the 5th round. This is where all those hours of training in the dry pool are put to good use. They need a 70.26 score to take the lead.
Go.
Nice clean sound as they hit the water. Anxious eyes on the judges scoring 71.04. Different physiques, the girl. Pandalela is tiny. Munyi, a taller, stronger athlete. It means synchronization can sometimes be a little bit difficult. But currently in 1st, 303.96, just hedging ahead of Sarah and Tonya from Great Britain. Is it enough to hold on to 2nd? Currently, that place goes to the Canadians, Megan and Rosalind. Same dive, backward, 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twists. This effectively for second place. Surely good enough. Good, confident dive. 72.96, absolutely good enough. Well, they've guaranteed themselves at least second place of the Canadians. The only thing that can really get them a win is if there's a no dive from Chen and Liu. That's very unlikely. But that's a solid job, well done. There's a lot of pressure on them there. Execution scores 7.75, counting synchronization 2 8s and a 7. Good job. So Chen and Liu, 3.2 difficulty, backward 2.5 somersault, 1.5 twists. Is this the masterclass? It's been a masterclass so far. 4 beautiful dives. Terrific consistency. They are the class act. .81.6. As other pairings happy to get in the 70s, these girls regularly in the 80s. Same dive, execution just perfect. The spring, the takeoff, the synchronization, the individuality and the entry. They've won this competition by the best part of 40 points. It's a terrific performance from Chen and Liu, and they've laid down a marker for this Super Series. They're the standards that the rest have got to attain to. Chen and Liu, 347.52, 40 points clear of Benfito and Filion. Malaysia's Munyi and Pandalela picking up third place ahead of Sarah Barrow and Tonya Couch. A learning experience for the Americans, Anna James and Jessica Parato. And the Mexicans, Espinosa and Orozco, I think they'll be frustrated with their 5th round dive. They went in with a chance of second place, couldn't quite pull it off. Actually, it wasn't the 5th round dive that hurt the Mexicans, it was more the 4th round dive. They got a 60.39. The winning 3, well, the Chinese were just outstanding. Great performance from Pandalela Rinong and Leong Munyi from Malaysia. They secured a very good bronze. And an excellent last dive from Megan Benfeito and Rosaline Filion gave Canada the silver.
Accompanied by Market Director, Beijing Technology Development Corporation. 与他一起为运动员颁奖的是北京好视力科技发展有限公司销售中心总经理卢爱英女士。
The dignitaries just being introduced. This is the first of 8 events in this competition. And the first medals will be picked up by Malaysia. A bronze medal for Pandalela Rinong and Leong Munyi. Pandalela, who won a bronze in an individual event at the Olympic Games in London. And now trying to establish herself genuinely as a world-class athlete. Chinese are very much leading the way, though, but good start to this season, good start to this Super Series season for Pandelela and Meunier. Meunier on the left, Pandelela on the right. It's bronze. They were consistent in their scoring. An overall total of 303. Just seen them pip Tanya Barrow and Tonya Coach of Great Britain for that bronze medal. And the $3,000 worth of prize money. 303.96 their total.
Silver medalist，银牌获得者是来自加拿大的运动员 Megan Benfieto and Rosalind Williams from Canada.
An excellent final dive from Megan Benfieto and Rosalind Williams. They were trailing, they were in 4th place coming into the final dive, but a 72.96 on their final of 5 dives pushed them not only into 3rd, but actually above Pandelela and Meunier into 2nd place and a $4,000 check. Good job, well done.
Gold medalist，金牌获得者2014。
The outstanding pair, though, by a long, long way. They won it by just under 40 points in the end. Consistent diving throughout from Chen and Liu. Led from the very, very first dive. Equal first. And then in round 2, they turned up the pressure. And then the 3rd round, they posted a high score. The 4th round, they posted the highest score of all divers in the competition with an 83.52 rated dive. 347.52 points over the 5 rounds. And a comfortable victory for the outstanding pairing. That's Chen Rulin and Liu Huixia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of People's Republic of China.
And the national anthem for China. A good job well done by both the Malaysian pairing and the Canadian pairing. It's no disgrace to come second to these. I suspect we'll be hearing that Chinese national anthem quite a lot during this World Series season.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medalists. 比赛开始，第一人动作。马修·丹尼尔，英国4.1米。
FINA NBC Diving World Series. It's the men's 10-meter platform, 4 teams competing. This is the first to dive for Great Britain, Daniel Goodfellow and Matt Lee.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
Quickly into the rhythm. Goodfellow and Lee. It's an inward dive with Pike to get us up and running. Degree of difficulty, just 2. A solid 51-point start for the young Britons. Who just shakes the cobwebs away to the first 2 rounds of diving. The Italians, Francesco Dell'Uomo and Marche Vazzotto, will be up next as Goodfellow and Matt Lee Solid scores, synchronization, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5. That's perceived to be very good.
波兰希斯科麦卡
Dell'Uomo and Vazotto. Dive difficulty, same. It's an inward dive with pike.
Match. Pronto? Sì. 1, 2, 3.
Gently done. Such a graceful movement.
计时分8分8分8.5 8.5
Hanging in the air. Letting gravity do the work. Perfect entry. 50.4 start. So synchronization not perceived to be perfect. 8.5s and 8s and 1.9, which will be disregarded. So the Chinese Cao Yan and Lin Yu will be up next as we get the confirmation. Execution scores 8 and 8.5. That's what's brought them down just a tad. Again, a forward dive this with the pike. Cao Yan and Lin Yu. So elegant. 10-meter platform. Truly is the first round, just blows away the cobwebs. There are 6 rounds in the men's competition. 54.6. The pike, the movement of the arms, and the entry. Now then, the outstanding competitors. The Germans, Patrick Hausding and Sascha Klein. Synchronization, a 9.5 and 2 9s. They're the scores that were taken into account. Hausding, Klein, it's forward with 1.5 somersaults in the pike position. Wow. Perfect execution. 52.2. Good enough only for second place behind the Chinese. Just touching into the pike, release. Perhaps just flailing just a little bit on the entry. For executions, the 2 9s count, the 8.5s for synchronization. It's a very, very good start for the Germans. 6 dives, 6 rounds for the men. After the first of those 6, Cao Yan and Lin Yu have a 2.4 lead over Hausding and Klein. Dan Goodfellow and Matti Lee just ahead, 0.6 ahead of Francesco Dell'Uomo and Vazotto from Italy. Backward 1.5 somersaults with 1.5 twist, with half a twist, sorry. It's still only a difficulty level of 2.
Okay. Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
still when these guys are in the air. It's very solid. It's a 50.4 to add to their 51 in the first round. Synchronization, a perceived problem. Nicely executed. Gives them a total of 101.4. And something for Dell'Uomo and Bozzotto to chase. I think these two will be competing for the third place, the $3,000 worth of prize money. Reverse dive with Pike. Very solid. Sometimes all you can do is sit and applaud at 52.8. Still work you can do on the execution. Pretty solid from the Italians. They will leapfrog Goodfellow and Matty Lee on the overall leaderboard. A bit dark and misty behind the diving pool there. Just need to clean that lens a little bit, don't we? Inward dive with Pike.
Go. Bye, so.
The approach was military-like in its precision. The execution looked pretty flawless. Certainly the entry was very nice. 55.8. It's the highest scoring dive so far of the competition. This pair will be severe competition for Patrick Hausding and Sascha Klein, who are next up, the Germans. There's a 10 for execution there that's marked out. Synchronization, 2 9s and a 9.5 count. 9 judges in all. The top and the bottom execution marks get rubbed out. The top and the bottom synchronization marks rubbed out. The remaining 5 added together, multiplied by the degree of difficulty to give the score. Inward dive with Pike for Hausding and Klein.
Up.
Lovely thunk as they enter the water. Quite in sync at a score of 51, which was disappointing for them, the Germans. 103.2 overall. Their joint second, that's a dive that's let them down. I think they'd want to be closer to the Chinese pairing. So after 2 of 6 dives, a 7.2 lead for Cao Yan and Lin Yu. Hausding and Klein level with Dell'Uomo and Bozzotto. Goodfellow and Lee a further 1.8 points down in 4th place. And it's Goodfellow and Lee who'll get us underway in this 3rd round. The degree of difficulty goes up quite considerably. This 3.2 degree of difficulty. It's an inward 3.5 somersault with tuck.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
synchronization wasn't quite there. 77.76. A good fellow, and Matty Lee. Again, it's solid. There's nobody, none of the judges there are marking them down. They're just not marking them as excellent. Dalumo and Vazotto. Forward 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. 2.9 degree of difficulty. Nicely done. The degree of difficulty is worked out well in advance. It depends on the dives that you're looking to do. There is a standard degree of difficulty for such and such a move. 63.51. Never truly looked in control of that one. This is where the competition starts. Not taking a chance. They do take a chance later on where they go up to a 3.3 degree of difficulty, but the Germans and the Chinese are hitting the 3.6 mark, so the chance to multiply their scores. This one, a 3.4, reverse 3.5 somersault with tuck. Huh? Don't try this at home. The entry is lovely. The approach was solid. The scoring is 87.72, which is very impressive. They're certainly setting a marker. Don't quite get the synchronization right. They recover by the time they hit the water. One execution of 10 and one of 7.5. A real dichotomy there in execution scores. How's Ding and Klein?
Good. One, up.
Backward 2.5 somersaults. And a twist and a half in there as well. 76.8 is scored. Each of the divers is judged individually, and the synchronization is judged. So 76.8, the Germans trailing by 18 points to the Chinese pairing of Cao Yan and Lin Yu. 180 total. Three of 6 rounds have been completed, midway through this tournament, and it's a convincing lead for the Chinese pairing of Cao Yan and Lin Yu. Tight for second, good fellow, and Matt Lee recovering after a poor second round. One good dive can make all the difference. We're into round 4. For Goodfellow and Lee, they up the ante just a little bit. Backward 2.5 somersaults will be their dive of choice.
Ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.
waste time in preparation, those two, Goodfellow and Lee. Real applause from their coaches. That's nicely executed. Backward 3.5 somersault, and a 79.2 total. Coming out of the tuck just a little bit early, and the judging represents that as well. Synchronization scores, again, it's good, not exceptional. Try telling that to the team. Pictures provided by CCTV. We are at the venue for the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. We're at the Water Cube National Swimming Centre here in Beijing. Forward 3.5 somersaults with pike for Del Uomo and Risotto. Need a good dive. .4 out of the pike, just a little bit early. Execution 7 or 7.5, synchronization of 7.5 and 2/8. These are the leaders, and they've been pretty outstanding so far. This, a backward 3.5 somersaults with pike. Great extension. Lovely smooth rhythm. Really attacking that dive. 82.08 execution. The scores for execution, well, as high as they probably would have liked. Still keeps them comfortably in the lead. If you're looking at levels of excellence, I'm sure Cao Yan and Lin Yu will look at that and go, yep, things we can do throughout this season. We can work on that, improve on that. 3.6 difficulty. Backward 3.5 somersaults with pike. Same dive as we've just seen performed by the Chinese divers. Good chance to compare like with like.
That's one up.
Aggressive attacking the entry. Not quite clean. .78.84, and I'll look back on that as a missed opportunity. It's still a very acceptable score, but the individual execution for both divers, maximum 7. Synchronization 7.5. So Cao and Lin, 21 points clear of Hausding and Klein, who just stay ahead of Dan Goodfellow and Matty Lee. Two more dives to go for Goodfellow and Lee. Up on the board next. This will be a reverse 3.5 somersaults. 10-meter platform. most difficult dive they'll try in their 6. Again, plenty of applause from the coaching staff of the Great Britain team. Tuck was nice and tight. They pick up a 66.3 total execution. There again, the marks, the individual executions have let them down a little bit. A 4.5 and a 5.5. You take out the 4.5, it's 324.66 total. Inward, 3.5 somersaults with tuck.
Pronto? Sì. 1, 2, 3.
Currently on 235.11 points. Need a 9.4 average to be first. They're not going to get that with that dive. Long way out of synchronization. The marks reflect that, as do the individual executions. It's a 54.72 total. I think that one's a work in progress for Del Uomo and Vazzotto. It's a long old season, 6 events in this Super Series. This is the first of them here in Beijing. And the Chinese divers are leading the way. This forward of 4.5 somersaults with tuck. Wow. There's a little surge of excitement around the pool as they perform that 3.7 degree of difficulty dive. The approach is confident. The execution scores are very good. It's a 93.24 dive. 93.24. The Chinese really are setting the mark in terms of world standards. Synchronization, an 8 and 8.5, 8.5 execution, a 9 and an 8. The scores that count, you multiply that by your degree of difficulty, which is 3.7, you get 93.24. Housding and Klein, this a reverse 3.5 somersault with tuck. It's the same dive Goodfellow and Lee tried earlier. Nicely executed. Nice crisp clasp of hands onto the knees as they move into the tuck. A 78.54 score. Again, the Chinese are the class act. I think Housding and Klein would like to be a little bit closer than they actually are. Comfortably in second, though, round 5 of 6 execution. Solid synchronization, a 7.5 and 2 8s. Guys can look back on a job well done. But Cow and Lin can look back on a job outstandingly well done. Housding and Klein just edging ahead of Dan Goodfellow and Matty Lee for second place in the $4,000 check. It's the final round now, the sixth dive. Same order. Lee and Goodfellow from Great Britain. Forward 3.5 somersault with Pike. Just need a solid dive to make sure they keep third place. Judges have posted their scores. It's a 63 score. Synchronization, 7s across the board. A total of 387.66. They look happy enough. It's a good morning's work in the pool in Beijing in the water cube. For Dell'Uomo and Vazotto, they just need to focus on this. This is the most difficult dive that they will have tried. It's a backward 3.5 somersaults with tuck, as demonstrated.
Pronto?
Sì.
1, 2, 3.
It's a big splash in the entry. That'll be marked down. And the guys themselves, they know. They're looking back up on the replays, which you can see in the big screen at the water cube. Never got out of his somersault, did he? A 4 and a 4.5 for his particular dive there. It's a 53.5 overall. 343.29 total. That'll be fourth place for the Italians. Backward 2.5 somersaults with 2.5 twists. Degree of difficulty ratio 3.6.
Stop. 5, all.
.88 on the scoreboard. The judges are looking at the 2 are looking at the individuals, and another 5 are looking at the synchronization. Synchronization getting 8.5s across the board as they scores the count. The executions an 8.5 and a 9. Germans, Hausting and Klein. They're going to try the same dive. Backward 2.5 somersaults with 2.5 twists.
That's 1, up.
That's a formidable effort. How is it compared to what the Chinese just did? It's an 85.32. It's very competitive. Maybe just losing a little bit in the transition. But nonetheless, a very, very good dive, and the best dive of the day from the Germans, by them anyway, for the Chinese, Cao Yan and Lin Yu. They've been the outstanding participants. And it'll be the Chinese to take their second gold medal of this FINA NBC Diving World Series in Beijing. The women's and the men's 10-meter platform both belonging to China. Confirmation, official confirmation. Cao Yan, Lin Yu, 466 points, 43.6 clear of Hausding and Klein. Goodfellow and Lee, some solid dives in there. They finish on a total of 387.66, which is 42 ahead of the Italians Dell'Uomo and Vazotto. I think we'll be going back to the diving boards to just work on their technique. So, gold for China through Cao Yan and Lin Yu.
铜牌获得者是来自英国的运动员。
Good performance, though, by the Britons, Dan Goodfellow and Matty Lee. Good support as well for Britain. Very vocal. They're in third place, right away from the second dive of the series. It was the third dive that did them just a little bit of damage. A learning curve for Lee and Goodfellow. Diving's become something of a trend in Great Britain. Tom Daly leading the charge. And several other young lads and lasses making their way through onto the international stage for Great Britain. Daniel Goodfellow and Matthew Lee. 387.66 their total after 6 rounds of diving.
是来自德国的运动员 Patrick Hausding and Sascha Klein from Germany.
Sascha Klein and Patrick Hausding. The best of the Europeans, been around for quite a while, Sascha and Patrick. Sascha, 28 years of age now. And silver at the 2008 Olympic Games in this event. European Championships in 2009, 2008, 2010, 2011, 2012 and 2013. 5 years this partnership has been producing gold medals. To silver here though. Once you hit the World Series, you're competing against the Chinese, and that's when the standards go up, not just a notch, they go up several notches.
Gold medalist. 金牌获得者，2014国际泳联跳水系列赛男子双人10米跳台的冠军是中国运动员曹源、林烨。
Victors by over 40 points, over 6 dives. It's quite a margin for the rest to make up. Cao Lin and Lin Yu. They pick up the gold medals and the $5,000 first check awarded to all winners of all competitions in the FINA NBC Diving World Series. Events move on from Beijing to Dubai, London, Moscow, Windsor and Monterrey in Mexico. Windsor in Canada. Season runs from this weekend up until June the 6th.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of People's Republic of China.
Chinese national anthem for the second time today. Women win the 10 meters synchronized, the men the 10 meters synchronized platform. medalists in the men's 10-meter synchro platform. China's Cao Yan and Lin Yu. Now the photo opportunity involving Patrick Kleisling and Tasha Klein, and Britain's Daniel Goodfellow and Matthew Lee. First two events have been won by China. This competition continues 2:30 local time, where we will be having the women's 3-meter synchro springboard and the men's 3-meter synchro springboard. You join us once again as we watch Cao Lin and Lin Yu celebrate the latest gold for China.